Entertainment has been and always will be a priority to the human mind. For centuries, humans have searched for countless methods to keep their overactive minds at ease. Today, entertainment comes as easy for humans as breathing. An average person is always carrying a computer in their pocket. Systems where a person could enter a different reality are widely owned and operated. We could virtually read every book in the world with the internet. With so many options to release ourselves from the harshness of reality, we do not often think about what life was like without them. What did people do before they could walk 10 steps and run into a TV? When did we even get to this point? Well, the answer is simple. It started with a motion picture. It all started in the harsh living conditions of the early 1800s. Many worked long hours in often harsh conditions. This physically demanding lifestyle led to a high mortality rate. There was little chance for formal education, and what education there was had to be paid for. Life was not all that bad either. People would live in strong communities where they all knew each other and supported each other when times were hard. Life was dominated by work and the constant struggle for survival. But life would soon be improved by a movement in time where the greatest minds melded to create a better life for those working in hard labor. The Industrial Revolution was a period of discovery, innovation, and genius. It allowed for many inventions to be thought up and created, and out of the tail end of the Industrial Revolution came a lesser-known period of innovation and genius, cleverly named the Second Industrial Revolution. Just like the first, the Second Industrial Revolution was a melting pot of some of the greatest inventions and inventors we know in this day and age. Out of this age came three inventors who imagined a device that changed the world forever. Three years before Edison and 5 years before Louis Lumière, Louis-Aimé Augustin Le Prince created a functioning motion picture camera in 1888. The Prince wanted to create life itself and something more than a panorama or magic lantern. He wanted to see and feel the presence of life in something, and that's where he got the idea to build a machine that could capture life. He devoted all of his time to making this device. In 1886, the Prince finally created his first device that would be used to capture life. He filed for a patent regarding the machine, but numerous difficulties arose when making the patent. F.A. West, a representative from Moon & Co., who took charge of the Prince's patent case, stated, "I had many hours of conversation with him. I would like to say that he was the finest, most charming and interesting man I have ever met. And almost everything we see on the screens today, he told me very clearly more than 33 years ago." He had many problems with the camera. The film was jumpy, it wasn't bright enough, and the machine made a lot of noise. Therefore, in 1887, he set off for Leeds to perfect his camera, and in 1888, he successfully created the first recorded motion picture, titled Round Hay Garden Scene. He patented his camera in several European countries. He planned to introduce the camera in America after he went on a holiday to visit his brother in Dijon, but on September 16, 1890, he disappeared on his train back to Paris. The inventor who popularized the motion picture camera was Thomas Edison with his kinetograph. In 1888, William Kennedy Laurie Dixon, Edison's assistant, was tasked with creating a device that could record and reproduce motion as the phonograph recorded and reproduced sound. He successfully created the kinetograph and the Edison Manufacturing Company, with Edison overviewing the project. Even though Edison thought of the idea and made the big decisions regarding the device, Dixon did most of the work creating it. Of course, in the end, Edison ended up taking credit for the kinetograph and registered hundreds of patents involving the device. Newspapers wrote of Edison's great success, and the kinetograph soon became an attraction for the world to remember. The kinetograph was a cost-effective, more practical device that would forever influence other motion picture devices. The third big inventor of the motion picture were the Lumière brothers. In 1894, Antoine Lumière attended a showing of the kinetograph in Paris. He instantly fell in love with the idea of motion pictures. He came home back to Lyon after the exhibition and excitedly told his sons all about the kinetograph and its possibilities. He wanted his boys, Auguste and Louis, to create a better, more cost-effective camera that could be projected on a screen so many people could view it. So, the Lumière brothers went to work. By early 1895, the Lumières came up with their motion picture device, the cinematograph. The cinematograph was lighter than the kinetograph and operated at a speed much lower than it, causing there to be less noise made by the machine and less film being taken up. The device was perfect for filming movies, but not so much as projecting them, so in 1897 the Lumieres created a device just for the projection. The Lumieres sent hundreds of camera operators out to film and show movies across the world. Finally, in February 1897, the Lumieres commercialized the cinematograph. In the early 1900s to the 1910s, Edison ruled the film industry. He held hundreds of patents on camera tech and wielded them like they were his life force. Any company outside of the Edison Film Company would get sued into oblivion if they ever tried to make a film. So, filmmakers needed a place that would have perfect weather all year round, cheap land, and it had to be as far away from Edison's legal monopoly as it could be. And there was a perfect place in the US that held all of these qualities: California. Filmmakers packed their bags and headed from the East Coast to the West Coast, where no one even bothered with Edison's supreme rule over film. Film companies went to many different towns and cities, including Niles, California, which is stated to be the first Hollywood. One particular town in California became the center of the film industry: Hollywood. Many immigrants ended up moving to California to take jobs that were deemed unworthy to be held by good Christian believers. Those jobs were in the entertainment industry. Many eras and movements in Hollywood and movie history changed the world's perspective. Some examples are pre-code Hollywood, the early golden age of Hollywood, the golden age of Hollywood, the new age of Hollywood, Dadaism, and the Soviet montage theory. Pre-code Hollywood was a time when films were completely illicit. The early golden age of Hollywood was where film and color started. Then came the golden age of Hollywood, where new forms of movies that we came to know and love today came out. Westerns and film noir are a couple of them. The Golden Age then ushered in the New Age of Hollywood. New Age Hollywood returned to the popular genres of pre-code Hollywood, such as gangster films and sex-centric films. New Hollywood produced some of the greatest films of all time: The Godfather, Jaws, and Star Wars. Soviet montage theory was used to explain that you could use the same shot with different pictures, or even switch up the order of the shots, and the meaning of the shot would change depending on which picture you paired with it. The Soviet montage theory allowed people to express their ideas in different ways. Wartime and propaganda films were also very important in the history of film. Countries would use cinema as a weapon to influence the thoughts and feelings of their citizens. Post-war films after World War II were used as an outlet to express the citizens' emotions toward war and other parts of society. Post-war film movements include the Italian neorealism movement, where Italian citizens used film to regain their national identity and humanity, and the French New Wave was about independent filmmaking. One of the first major movements in movie history sprouted in response to World War I: Dadaism. Dadaism started in the wake of World War I. Dadaism was an idea that was used in films and many other forms of art. Artists could communicate their feelings about the outside world through Dadaism. Dadaism represented feelings of anti-everything: anti-war, anti-bourgeois, anti-nationalist, anti-establishment, anti-museum, and anti-materialism. Dadaists aimed to destroy what was thought of as reasonable and ideal. Even though modern-day society views motion pictures as just an everyday occurrence, the reality is that the invention of motion pictures within society changed the entertainment, communication, and social construct of the world. Motion pictures gave people a chance to travel the world and experience the emotions of others. They helped people communicate with others how they were feeling and express themselves. They changed the population of America so that more people live in California than on the East Coast. Even to this day, motion pictures are involved in the everyday life of a person by being in our schools, our homes, and even on our person 24/7.